It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin on a warm Sunday, Mother's Day night with Dan DeFaw. Man, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it was. Don't say that. Take a breath.
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
Deep breath here. Have a drink of coffee. Thank you for the coffee again, by the way.
Anytime.
We're still looking for a coffee sponsor. We've reached out to a couple people, but
I got my summer drink.
Anybody out there that was willing to provide coffee, we will drink it on the show.
Busy week.
For you. Well, it was
Actually,
busy for me.
for both of us.
But it was all work related
It
for
was
me.
real work related.
Yeah, real life, real world, not out having fun in the outdoors.
Yeah, no. I had a special week longs of meetings, and
Yeah.
you were busy.
Oh, I had a 14-page document dropped on my desk Friday right before I left for last weekend previous. So I got to come in Monday morning and start basically a big, huge video project for a local, how should I say, a local organization that helps the less fortunate. Video presentation. And it was supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes, and the script was 23 minutes long.
Ooh, you either did some cutting or adding.
Both.
Okay, so you took the median.
Yeah, it wound up being 16 minutes long, but that took 4 days of 15-hour days of straight work. So
Wow.
And then I took Friday off, and I headed down to Ohio.
Yeah, you
Land
did.
of the Buckeye.
Yes, you did. You went and got Jacob all squared away.
Yeah, took my youngest boy down to college and orientation, got him squared away. He's ready to rock and roll. So went down, and actually that night, speaking of outdoors, us outdoor guys, we also like other redneck things as well, like racing. And we went to a dirt track, half-mile dirt track, and watched some modifieds and super stocks and mini mods. And
Cool.
yeah, it was a cool night, man. Dirt was flying, cars were flying. It was pretty cool. First time I've been to a dirt track in a long time.
And I was stuck for the week in a basement in a conference room for a week.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Okay, how do I say that correctly?
No.
It was work related, so yes, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. We did every year we do a face-to-face with all the other regions.
Okay.
And this year it was here in America.
Okay.
So we had all our other regions represented, and so...
Hang on. Listen. Can you hear it? Geese flying over?
Man,
Got the
I
window
tell you
open.
what, speaking of... Okay, so, all right, I'll tell you something that happened in the outdoors.
Okay.
I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, Mike and I were up at Cabela's for the Ladies' Day Outdoors.
Yep.
We did a presentation for a couple of ladies.
Mm-hmm. Archery 101.
Archery 101. It was awesome. In the end, they were supposed to shoot a recurve, or they could shoot any bow they wanted to, but specifically they were supposed to shoot the recurve and some balloons, and if they popped the balloons, they got a prize. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, we had two people, and they each popped a balloon.
One archer was an experienced archer for 2 years with a compound. Never shot a recurve.
Right?
The other lady had never shot a bow in her life.
At all.
And she came in and she wanted to take up the sport and challenge herself and
not be a hunter, but she wanted to take it up and be
Target shooter.
Yeah. She goes, I'm not going to be a hunter.
Yeah.
But she wanted to learn and be good at it. And I thought her reasoning for coming up to Saginaw was pretty good.
It was.
It was, hey, where are you from? Oh, basically down south Royal Oak, right?
Yeah, north of Detroit.
North of Detroit. And she came up to Saginaw, which is probably from her house at least an hour and a half.
Good long drive.
Because she wasn't going to know anybody ever in the area and never see them again.
Right, and if she made a complete fool of herself, she said she didn't want anybody that she knew in the area to see it and, know that she made a fool of herself.
Right, exactly.
But in the end, I tell you what, I was so impressed with, number one, her attitude, and number two, she was kind of a natural. I mean,
yeah, you were helping her out on the line, and I was helping the other lady. But I heard her pop the balloon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and the smile on her face was priceless. It was pretty cool to watch somebody who had never fired an arrow in their life, and then I don't know, on the 6th, 7th, 8th shot she took with a recurve, she hit the balloon. I mean,
And those balloons were probably
8 inches.
8 inches in diameter.
6-8 inches, yeah.
So,
You know,
yeah, no, it was good. And then the other lady who used a compound shot a recurve for the first time, but she also wanted to try a crossbow, which she had never shot, because her boyfriend actually wants her to get a crossbow so he can get a crossbow. But I think the real reason is she shoots better than he does.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he likes to shoot a gun, but she likes to shoot the compound. I was like, oh, okay, I see where that's going.
Well, when we got the compound out and she started shooting, I was like, she's driving tax. I said, yeah, okay. That is kind of like, yeah, she probably shoots a lot better than he does.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good. That was a great day. Not overly busy for the day. It was gorgeous outside.
Yeah, beautiful day outside. So,
but
it was nice. We could give them some one-on-one, individual instruction.
And we took our time with them. They could ask anything they wanted, and we couldn't rush them.
Yeah.
And they both got a $20 gift card for the Cabela's.
Yep.
So that was good.
And the lady that had never shot before, she'd come up there. Like I said, she had a good attitude, but she'd also done a little homework. She said she'd watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, she said that a few times about the different aspects.
We were teaching.
Yeah. And
she's like, yeah, I saw that.
Right.
On YouTube. So it reaffirmed what we were doing, and that she knew ahead of time kind of what we were talking about.
She actually did her homework, which was cool.
Yeah.
She did have the deer in the headlights look a little bit, but you could see things were clicking when you mentioned different parts of the bow or what you were, how you were holding it, shooting it.
And she's asking great questions. Both of them asked really great questions. Especially when it came to the recurve, the one girl who had the 2 years of experience. She switching over to the switching over to the recurve. Well, why do you hold it canted? A little bit.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep.
And then the 3 fingers below the knock, or 1 above and 2 below, depending on style and how you want to shoot and all that. So. And
like we told them both, you're going to start one way, but if you keep doing it, you're just going to develop
your own style.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Okay. So my outdoor story. Besides, I've been shooting the bow all week.
Was it the birds?
It was the
in the
duck.
parking lot?
No, it was the duck. Oh, that's a good one too. But this one, I was talking to Deb on the phone. We were making plans for the evening, and she's on the phone with me, and she's got to let our dogs go out. Well, the last few springs now, we've always had a couple of mallards, always coming into the yard, whether they're going to go eat the bird seed, the corn, blah blah blah. Well, the last 2 or 3 days, they just seem to like the grass and just kind of plop down wherever, take a nap.
Okay.
Well, the 2 ducks must have been off to the right where she couldn't see, and she let the dogs out.
Uh-oh.
And Blake got a hold of the male and
Uh-oh.
rolled it, but it got up and flew away. And there was kind of feathers everywhere. And
okay.
It was like she's yelling at the dog, and luckily Blake is my soft mouth dog. He's got that bird retrieving mouth.
Right.
And so it flew away. So last night I got home, just the mama duck came in.
Okay.
Like, oh no.
The Drake didn't come back, huh?
And I'm like, oh boy. So today I went out there and I seen her and didn't see him. So I went and shot my bow this morning, and then I was out towards the back, towards the pond back there, and all of a sudden I seen him. So,
okay. So he's okay.
Better. He's okay. He was waddling with her. So
okay. So the Drake's still around.
Right. And there's that, and the bird, the feeding of the birds for breakfast was pretty funny. I was sitting in the parking lot waiting to go into Cabela's, and then a lady pulls up, not into a parking spot, but like across parking spots, and I'm kind of watching her out of the corner of my eye. And she rolls down her window, and she just takes a whole thing of French fries and dumps them. Like, well, okay.
What's going on here?
Yeah, and so then she puts the car in reverse, backs up. All of a sudden, seagulls started landing. And they wouldn't come close to where so she backed up even more. Then they came in, they started eating. Basically, she ate her breakfast watching the birds eat. And then when she was done, she's like, eh.
So she was watching the birds and took off and after feeding them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
To each their own. Interesting.
Some things you see in a Cabela's parking lot.
Right on.
So. But, other than that, the only outdoors thing I've done this week is definitely I've gotten the Evolve all hooked up now. I got the sight put on.
I've seen the pictures.
I'm shooting.
Yeah.
So,
and?
Dude, I know we shoot PSE, but I'm not going to lie. This is probably one of the best bows I've ever shot. I mean, this thing is just, even Kelly said, and Deb said, Wow, that's quiet.
Can't hear it.
And I really don't. I have stock dampeners and everything. I didn't really.
You didn't trick it out.
Didn't trick it out as far as dampening aids.
Yeah, right out of the box, these things are quiet.
Yeah, and this thing is it's solid. It rocks. So we'll tune that thing in a little bit more and keep shooting it. So.
Well, mine is we showed mine last week on the show, and it's going over to Jim Beasley's at Spot Shooters this week, probably tomorrow morning, and we're going to get mine set up as well. So. I couldn't get over there this week. I'd made plans to try to go over, but with everything that happened at work, I just couldn't make it. So, but I tell you what, let's step outside. When we come back, I got another little story to tell about something that Danny and I talked about after the show last week that changed my mind on something. And we'll roll that right into a little bit of Mother's Day for obvious reasons when you hear the story. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show, everybody. Sitting in the cabin enjoying this fresh air coming through the window here over my shoulder that you can't see in the live stream. Actually, can you? I don't know. Can you see it there in the live stream?
Yeah, you can right there.
Yeah.
See where the fishing net is.
Yeah.
Right over right there.
My little trout net.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. So last week we had a discussion. You posted the pictures. Right?
Yeah. There's 3 pictures.
You found a kill site. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like it was broke up into 3 distinct different areas.
Yep.
And you noticed a very small rib cage.
Yeah, and I thought it was 3 different kill sites, and I'm just like trying to run through my mind. How could a coyote kill 3 deer? Because the thing that really perplexed me is like it had to be 3 different sites because there was a small rib cage in the middle one, and I'm like, there's too much fur and debris. There wasn't bones per se; it was just piles of fur, big piles of fur that was left. And I'm like, there's too much fur for that to be from that small rib cage from a young yearling deer. And that's why I thought it's too. But then Danny asked me, he said, well, how big was it here? I mean, for the guys who were on the live stream, I said that rib cage was, about like this, if you can see my hands here on the live stream. And when I did that, it was like an epiphany. It just, I'm like, my gosh, I know exactly what that was. It was a pregnant doe.
Yep.
Because the rib cage was small. And it's just like, boom, the light went on.
Plus, you had said that you have a camera right there, that you did not see this when you were setting that camera.
Yeah.
And you don't think you could really miss that?
I don't think I could. Maybe, but I really think, I think when I go back up this weekend and pull my cards, I think we're going to be surprised at what we see on this camera.
And so that makes kind of perfect sense to us, why there would be a small rib cage. And not for that much fur, right?
Yeah, because right now, I mean, the doe have not dropped their fawns yet on our place. We're not seeing fawn drops yet. Last weekend was still a little too early.
Right, and I know they're starting down here in the south.
Are you starting to see some?
Yeah, Chris Kreiner saw, he posted pictures of finding one.
Okay.
So it's happening.
So that's what I think it was. I really think it was a doe that was pregnant and ready to drop a fawn, and that's the reason we found that small rib cage, and that's all we found, you know. And I didn't spend a ton of time like looking around, looking for bones or a carcass per se, but I'm telling you what, man, there was 3 distinct piles of fur, like 20 yards apart.
Right.
You know, so now I'm thinking, okay, so it was a doe. She had at least a fawn, if not 2. And that's all the bones that was there was from that one that was left, and the rest we got, you know, drug off, and there was, you know, probably 3 feeding sites of what was left.
Yep,
you know?
Exactly. They don't have a dinner table per se.
Right.
They drag it around for a while.
Right. So,
but so that's our, you know, after we got off the show last week, we sat there talking about it, and all of a sudden it just kind of, it makes 2 and 2 and equals 4, and
yeah.
That's how it works.
You know, and unfortunately, you know, we're sitting here talking, you know, so we're going to roll this into kind of Mother's Day. Well, it was a mama doe that got killed, you know, and you hate to lead into Mother's Day with something like that, but
that's part of nature.
Yep, it is. It's just part of it.
It's a part we don't like to see because we don't like those guys.
No.
But you know what though? Speaking of coyotes are bad, yes. But actually, from all these studies that they're performing, it's the bears that are just as bad.
We have seen bear stalking our fields. We won't mow our fields until fawning season's over. That way, the doe can hide fawns in those fields.
Yep.
You know, and we've seen bear go through them, stand up, look around, sniff, look around, drop back on all fours, walk a little bit, and just trying to cruise those fields and find those deer. And it's not uncommon to see that on a regular basis up at our place.
Right. So bears are just as bad. So we got to get those bears. Got to get boo-boo.
But, you know, talking about mothers and Mother's Day and everything, you know, we want to give a quick shout out, you know, to number one, my wife. You know, she helped raise our 4 kids. And actually, she's got 5 because she's got me as well. and putting up with everything that I do, and as much as I head up north and stuff, you know, it's, you know, I got to say thank you. I got to give her a big shout out.
Absolutely. Our wives put up with us kids.
Yeah.
And
being able to do this right here every Sunday night.
Every Sunday night.
You know.
I'm over your house.
You know, your wife puts up with you coming over here. My wife puts up with us doing this here in the house.
Right, exactly. You know, and she's probably watching right now. So
big shout out to Deb.
Absolutely, because she puts up with me, and she's raised our 2 girls, and, you know, it's just one of those things that's definitely big shout outs to her.
You know, and looking back at what my mom had to put up with my dad and me growing up, you know, and not so much my sister. My sister wasn't a big outdoors person like my dad and I was, but you know what? All the things, all the memories I have as a young child camping. You know, my mom was there. You know, maybe not so much during deer season, but I know coming home, whether it was a fishing trip or deer season, we'd get back home, we'd have wild game. She'd be right there helping us package it, put it away, cooking it. You know, she couldn't stand the smell of venison. It just,
oh, really?
Yeah, it made her sick. But she'd stay in there and she would cook it for us. She didn't mind eating it. She loved to eat it, but the cooking and the blood smell she did not like.
I remember pheasant hunting with my dad and my brother. They'd come home, they'd bring home the pheasants. I remember them cleaning them on the kitchen table. Mm-hmm. I'll have to see if I can find the picture. I'll post it. And then, they'd throw it in the oven, cook it. We'd have pheasant then. The deer, not so much. We didn't get many when I was young. My dad was a deer hunter per se. Mm-hmm. Just didn't get a lot of deer. But, my mom, you know, let us do our thing.
Let you do your thing, yep.
So that was cool.
You know, and I'm going to have to ask my mom this story, because I just remember just enough of it to be able to tell the beginning of it. But I remember her saying that she was at deer camp one time with my dad. They brought the wives up. You know, this is back, this is state land. You know, it was either you sleep in the vehicle or you sleep in a tent.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's just the way it was. I think at one point we had a little pop-up camper, but one of the other wives was up there, and they decided that you know what, the guys are going out hunting, we're going to load up a rifle and we're going to go set out and hunt. And I don't remember how it turned out, but I'm going to ask her next time I talk to her. I'm going to say, hey, tell me that story again, because I remember her telling that story several times as I was a kid. I just don't remember how it ended.
Okay.
There's something funny that happened, so I will bring that back.
I remember going up, my mom coming up, the one time we went to camp, I don't remember. But I remember they stayed in town. Mm-hmm. They went to the hotel in town. My mom and my aunt at the time they stayed in town and we stayed at the cabin, which basically was 4 walls and a stove.
Okay.
You know, the potty was outside, the well was down the hill.
Right.
So yeah, they stayed they came up, but they stayed at the hotel, and then like they'd come out the next day and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But it was if it wasn't for our moms and our wives,
we wouldn't be the people we are right now.
That's right. I'll even go far as grandmas.
Yeah. I remember my grandmother went on a fishing trip one time. The first time I went smelt dipping with my dad. I couldn't have been more than 8, 9 years old, maybe 10. And we went up Lake Huron, and we had an old van. We all piled in it, went up there, and my dad put me in a pair of adult waders.
Oh, boy.
Which was way too big.
Yep.
And it was one of those warm October nights. We're out there in the water. Lanterns are on the beach. You know, you put the tinfoil around the back of the lantern so it would shine light out to where you were dipping.
Right.
You know, and you walk in the water and the smelt were running and you could feel them bouncing off your waders, hitting your legs. We're dipping and the wind picks up. Storm blows in. It's pouring down rain. And at one point I got wave washed, filled my waders full of water. And I wound up almost getting pneumonia.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was deathly sick for about a week. I got shivering so bad I could not control myself. And my mom and my grandma got me in the van. They took and stripped me down, threw blankets around me, and huddled around me to keep me warm. And my dad was still fishing. He'll be all right. You know, just take care of him. Take him back to the van. He'll warm up. But my grandma was there for that.
Okay. I know it's Mom's Day, but I got a question because you mentioned that about your dad saying he'll be okay.
Uh-huh.
For my dad, every time I got sick or somebody got sick, his medicine or his cure for it was, get him outside. He needs some fresh air.
Uh-huh.
And to this day, I can still remember. Matter of fact, he wanted to send me to school the day I had chicken pox.
Okay.
You know?
Spread it around to everybody. The gift that keeps on giving.
I remember my mom. Exactly. And my dad looked at my mom. Or my mom looked at my dad and goes, "Red, he can't go."
Right.
And he's like, "Ugh." But to my dad's cure about a cold or this, like, get outside, get some fresh air.
Get some fresh air. Take a deep breath. It'll all go away.
Yeah, it's like that's funny.
That's good. I do remember one funny story when I was a kid. We had a cabin up north, and it was co-owned by us and our family and 2 other families. So this is in the summer. We're all up north in the summer. They had a bearskin rug there at the camp, okay? It was part of the cabin when we bought it, I guess. Well, what I didn't know that day is my dad and the 2 other guys from the 2 other owners of the cabin proceeded to spin this big, tall tale about bears in the area. There was bears in the area, but we'd see bear tracks.
Right.
In the sand along the road all the time. But like, you need to be really careful. Bears around here, yada, yada, yada. Got the girls all wound up. And, they let some time go. Well, all of a sudden, they took off. They had to go do something. So they took off away from camp. But what none of us had noticed is the bearskin rug was missing. So after a half hour, 45 minutes them being gone, all of a sudden, we hear on the side of the door, there's a wooden door to the well house that was attached to the side of the cabin. You hear roar, and they took the nails of that rug and were scratching on the door like he's trying to get in. Yeah, well, the ladies are screaming, but joke on them. My mom, being who she was and being a little bit of a rebel rouser and knew how to use guns, she went and grabbed the 44 mag pistol, and she's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of us. If he comes through that door, I'm shooting him." So this went on for a few minutes, but, when they finally realized it was the guys, there was some kicking, some punching, and some screaming, and laughing about the guys were laughing, but yeah, it was a pretty hairy situation there for a while, but my mom went and grabbed the pistol. She's
good
like,
for her.
I'm like, thinking back to that now, I was like, Dad, that wasn't too bright. You might have got shot.
It would have been one of those, you're a statistic. Wow.
So, but, you look back at growing up and all the crazy times and fun times and the things our moms put up with, things our wives put up with. A big shout out here on Mother's Day to all of them.
Absolutely. And I fully admit that my wife got a deer before I did. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. She got a doe before I ever got a deer. So, and I learned how to gut a deer the wrong way then. But
okay,
that was one of those things. You learn, right?
Okay.
Me and my father-in-law at the time were looking at each other going,
Okay, who's going to do this?
right, and we basically came up with the notion whatever inside is got to
Gotta
come
get 'em
out.
Okay.
So that's what we did. But yep, she got a deer before I did, and so
Okay.
definitely.
I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break. We come back. We got some questions here from you guys and gals out there that we want to answer here on tonight's show. So we're going to roll into this break here, our second break, and step outside. And we come back, we're going to answer a few questions. We'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We're sitting here going to answer a few questions from some of the people off of our live stream tonight. For those of you on the podcast that are not watching us live right now, so that's where these questions are coming from.
Right, we posted a video about an hour and a half before we went on the air saying, hey, we're going to throw some, have the viewers throw us some questions and see what we get.
And
we got Andy Eberhard. Wants to know about some hunting gear we have used over the years which have worked or even changed the way you've hunted, and maybe some gear that's failed miserably and you'd never waste your money on again.
good question.
That is a fantastic question because some hunting gear that's changed hunting as far for the good is I tell you what, the invention of trail cams.
Trail cams, yeah. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. That's a good thing that's came about here since I started hunting.
I got a Moultrie, and I don't even know what the numbers are, but it takes 6D batteries, and it's about that big.
It's like a lunchbox?
A lunchbox and weighs, and actually it's one of my best cameras still.
That's the first camera that I bought was a Moultrie as well. And it took 8D batteries. And it worked
Maybe it takes 8.
It worked really good for the first 2 years, and it actually took a lick from a bear.
Oh.
A bear swatted it right off a tree. And it lasted for a couple of years, and then it just, the display on it flaked out, and I've not been able to really set it since then.
Oh, okay.
If you can't see the LED display,
You really can't do nothing.
you can't do nothing with it. So I don't know. It probably still works, but I haven't used it. I don't even know where it's at, tell you the truth.
Right, and and I still use mine today, and besides weighing 100 pounds,
Right.
And now they got the newer ones. Like last year, I got a couple Cabela's. They've gotten smaller. I tell you that is one of the in the last umpteen years that they have come around with trail cameras that have changed the way you think, the way you hunt, as far as is a good thing.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you. Trail cams have changed the way that I hunt. But another piece of gear that I would say for me personally that I will not go into the woods without is a good set of optics. I really feel now that a good set of binos is the way to go when you get into the field, when you're hunting. Whether you're sitting in a tree stand, a box blind, or you're stalking, there's nothing that can substitute for being able to see further out and scan a field, scan the wood lot, and being able to see clearly and understand what's out there before you go stumbling into something and spooking the game out. And obviously I use Vortex. I've been working with them for several years now, but they are by far the best bang for your buck
I tell you what, I think you could take that. Vortex is a great. Their guarantee is second to none. But if you can get any decent pair of optics to help you, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yep, it's gonna help you in the field. Like I said, that's the one thing I will not go into the field without is optics.
And I've been carrying mine more and more. But yeah, optics is a good one. So definitely, those are two positive ones. Do you have a negative one? I do. It's really easy.
Yeah, you told me about yours, and I'll expand on it when you talk about it. I guess for me, the place where I've seen that probably the biggest waste of money for me in my younger years is when I first started hunting was just on cheap gear. Trying to save money, didn't have a lot of money to spend. Instead of waiting and saving my money and spending it on quality gear, I'd always buy something that was on sale or it was cheaper, and I wound up paying for it when I was out in the field. Especially gloves and boots. Gloves and boots, I really fully agree that, and now even base layers. Waterproof and warmth. Those are the two things that I would spend more money on to make sure I'm comfortable in the field. Because if you're not comfortable while you're out in the field, you're not going to stay out. It's going to lessen the amount of time you spend out hunting. It's going to cut your time down. So the longer I can stay out in the field and be comfortable, I think the better off we are.
I'll agree with you on that. The boots thing is probably by far. I've used. It's kind of funny. Do you remember moon boots?
Yeah. Yep, I do.
Those actually were probably one of the best hunting boots that we were using back then. They keep the feet warm.
Right.
But definitely boots by far. And if you go with a decent pair of boots and a thick, you get a comfortable boot, and you get as long as your feet stay warm, you are a happy camper.
Feet and hands.
Okay, hands. I won't go without. I will try not to forget. You buy them is those real thin pair of the black. I pick black of just the thin pair of gloves because those keep my hands the warmest. And then you got the dexterity to handle things,
right?
And then you can also put them in your pockets.
Take them off.
Yeah, and as opposed to having these thick gloves on. Now, obviously, when it gets into the November, December, if I'm bow hunting, I wear a thicker glove on my bow hand. But it's like, yeah, those thin pair of gloves go a long ways.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with you about the boots. The boots, yeah.
Hands, if you get cold with your hands, you can take your hands, you can put them in your coat, you can put them up under your arms and your armpits, or shove them in a pocket. But your feet, you're kind of screwed. I mean, your feet get cold, you're done.
Your feet get cold,
you're done.
You're done. And I was 2 years ago when opening day it got to a mighty fine temperature of 0. I was literally, I had the big buddy heater. I was pulling off my boots and putting my feet over the heater.
Right.
It was and I stayed out all day, but I made it to a certain point and I said, okay, take a break, take my feet out, put them right on there, and warm them back up.
Right.
And then put them back in the boot, and I made it through the day. But, yeah, definitely, it's a good one, boots. And Patrick Cloyd definitely agrees here that says 100% don't buy cheap.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, boots is a huge one. Now, as far as clothing goes, agreed, especially this day and age with the different wind block, wind stop.
I think base layer is a key.
The base layer is a good one.
I've got lightweight base layers and then I got heavy base layers. And actually, I took both of them with me up to turkey hunt last weekend because I knew we were going to get into that situation where we might be down to below freezing at sunrise one of the mornings. But when you get it helps to regulate your body temperature, wick away that moisture as you're walking, wherever you're walking to, your stand or just doing some stalk hunting. But regulating your body temperature is nothing worse than it being cold out, being overdressed because you don't have base layers on and you can put on a thin outer layer. And you start walking, and all of a sudden, you just start sweating. And then you start unzipping, and then you freeze because you're wet and that moisture can't get away. But a good pair of base layers will wick away that moisture.
And I think that's another thing that has changed over the years is understanding the wicking away base layer technology of how to take the base layer, use that to get the moisture away from your body so you actually stay warmer.
And regulate your core temperature.
Right. So definitely Yeah.
You know, if I had, like, I guess if we're talking, if we've got money to spend and, you know, okay, I've got X amount of dollars to spend and I'm going to spend X amount of dollars on a shotgun, some clothing to get me out in the field, and maybe, I don't know, something else. But I would spend the good majority of my money on comfortable, warm, dry clothing and spend less money on the firearm. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You know, I mean, I've got inexpensive guns and I've got expensive guns. Generally speaking, the hunting that I do, I've not seen where, you know, if I've got a higher end gun, or whether it be a rifle or shotgun, has ever cost me an animal because I was using a less expensive gun. It's usually because me.
Well, there's
the person
that,
behind pulling the trigger.
Okay, so here's my take on when you go buy especially if you buy a really nice wood model gun that's kind of expensive. I'm afraid to take it into the woods. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I don't want to nick it up. I don't want to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Most of my guns that I purchase now, firearms I purchase now, that I'm going to put into the field. I mean, everything that I buy, I'm planning on using it in the field. I don't plan on saving it and put it in the gun safe for future to sell and make money on. My stuff are tools. So I'm buying them with a matte finish, or I'm buying them with synthetic stock. You know, I'm not, you know, spending all that money to get this big high polished, you know, grade 3 or 4 wood, you know, with inlays and all that stuff. Man, my stuff, I use it.
Take that to look what PSE did. You know, the Mara's purple bow. Mm-hmm. It's purple, but it's a dull.
It's a matte finish.
Matte finish.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, and the black is a matte black.
Yep.
Say that.
Matte black.
Thank you.
So I don't know if that answered the question or not.
One of the things I probably would never use again is probably the string tracker.
Mm-hmm. On your bow.
I've seen it work. Patrick Durkin used it when I was hunting with him, and he got a huge deer. Mm-hmm. And then my brother was using it, and he was shooting at a deer, and it actually pulled the arrow down.
Mm-hmm. I've had it. I took 2 shots with it. One successful, one not successful. So, and the not successful was because of the string tracker catching on a limb.
Right. So, I was using it at the time, and at one time I was like, "Oh, he's using it too," so I'm going to use it. But then I saw the other. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to take it off my bow, be done with it.
Yeah. But I guess, you know, going back and looking at things overall, I really think when it comes down to gear being good, bad, indifferent, of whether we want to use them again or not ever use them again, I do think quality does play into that to an extent, especially, like I said, keeping warm, keeping dry. You know, and obviously when it comes to other gear, and we talked about, you know, inexpensive firearms versus expensive firearms, you know, if you're generally buying a quote-unquote fairly well-known name brand, you're going to be okay. You know, and we've talked about this in the archery industry. You know, there's several companies out there now, and for the most part, everything's pretty solid now. You know, we've gotten, the technology has come so far that there's not a lot of what I would call junk out there anymore.
You know what? It's getting to that point. Yeah, there really isn't. It gets weeded out fast if there is.
What about gimmick stuff? Is there any gimmick stuff like that you've purchased and not been satisfied with?
That I'll have to think about.
Yeah.
I think my dad saw it on a TV commercial, and I think it was about the time of, I think the Rambos were coming out with Sylvester Stallone.
Uh-huh.
And for $19.99, you got this survival knife, Marine. So it had.
I had one of those.
You unscrew it, and it came with the fishing kit.
Yep.
And yeah, we got a couple of those, and
I got to say that's the one thing I think if we're going to look at one item that I spent money on that I would never buy again, that's it. Because it just dawned on me when you said that I had one of those.
Yeah,
as well.
We got a few of those. You know, I still might have it.
Yeah,
and it came in this leather case that was really cheaply made.
Had the big old sawtooth on the back of the
blade. Oh yeah,
and then the end of the handle was a compass.
Yes.
Yep. Uh-huh.
The one of them I think leaked out, and I'll have to see if I can find it. I might have to bring it in.
Yeah, the knife that'll save your life.
Exactly. So,
what else we got there? I see people posting stuff.
While we're on here on live, bring up your iPad and can you look at? I can only see so far down.
Okay, I'm going to have to plug in. I tell you what,
Okay.
we're up here against our next break, so let's go ahead and take our last break, and I'll get this thing plugged in. We'll get it fired up. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Danny and I have been cruising through all these questions here. So we've got a list of questions here we're going to answer here in the last segment.
Okay, first one. Let's get David Boggs.
David asked if Socks, the piebald that's at my hunting camp, has thrown her fawns yet. Actually, I don't even know, David, if she got bred this year.
Oh, really?
I've not seen her this spring.
Oh, to see
personally, she's still on the property.
Okay.
But as far as when I've been up there, I've not seen her. So, yeah, we don't know yet. We haven't seen our first fawn drop yet. I'm hoping this coming weekend when I'm up, we're going to start to see some fawns. So, on that note, stay tuned.
Right. Patrick Cloyd one time used, and I think you said you knew about these, arrowheads that spun on bearings.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yes. They said they're junk. He now makes his own.
Okay.
So let's go to Jacob Abrams here. Hey guys, I got a question for you. I hunt in Lapeer County, and I can see the house from my stand, but the deer are in the woods no matter what time you go in. But I always kick them to the back of the property, but they come right back. I've never seen any bucks that are big, but only see them at the end of the rut. But it is just perfect landscape for deer. Question, do you think the bucks only come out at night, or don't know the does are there? There are a lot of oaks and a big cattail swamp nearby.
How big is the property is the first thing I would want to know.
And he said, should I throw out a trail camera?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Throw out trail camera that's going to, and put it, not just one, put several out.
Depending on how big it is, get several out. And I bet you...
Put them on deer runs. Put them... I wouldn't put one near so close to the cattail swamp that you may spook deer, because that's probably going to be the bedding area, their sanctuary, where they've got plenty of cover and they feel safe. And you do not want to be going in and switching cameras back and forth. I would be hitting main deer runs that you can find that are leading on or off the property to see when these deer are coming in.
I will guarantee you the big bucks know the does are there.
Yeah, they do. They know where the does are. They're going to tend the does coming up to the rut and into the rut.
What you might like you said here, only see them at the end of the rut, and most of the times or not, you'll see more bucks, and it's probably cruiser bucks.
Yep.
I get them in my backyard. When the rut kicks in, I can tell because I'll see different bucks. It's like, well, where'd you come from?
Yeah, during the summer they're kind of just doing their thing. They've got their core area that they hang out in. And then once that rut kicks in, their testosterone starts to build up and they get into that mode. And usually we call it the pre-rut when they go nocturnal, or when we don't even see them at all, when they start laying around and just waiting for that to kick in. And actually, somebody, I read an article said that
10 acres.
10 acres, okay. Somebody said that buildup of testosterone or whatever it is that gets them going.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
It's actually painful for them.
Yes, it's like a human having the flu with the aches and pains and don't want to move, and
they just kind of lay around,
right?
Until they get out of that, and all of a sudden they get up on their feet and take off.
Absolutely. So
a 10-acre parcel is probably going to be hard. What I was thinking was, if it was big enough to change your entry and exit points, that's the key thing. Depending on the wind, are they picking up because you're going in and out the same way every time? It's like, okay, I'm going to go down this 2-track trail to my stand. It may or may not be the best way in.
But to follow up exactly what you're saying, and you can use Google Maps to do this. Mm-hmm. Create a game plan.
Yep.
Greg Miller, Patrick Durkin, when I hunted with these guys, this is what they did. We had aerial of the land. Mm-hmm. First thing they did was go outside and check the wind. They checked the wind. They went back in and said, okay, we can hunt this stand, and we're going to get in
this way. Yep.
So
sometimes on a smaller piece of property, you really don't have an opportunity to be able to do that, and that might be why.
Exactly. But you can, with today's stuff, you got a bag of it here. Border Patrol, depending on how the landscape of the line,
you might be able to use this and plant this and hide your way coming in.
Right. If you're walking by an opening that you always see them in or something like that on your way to your stand, you can use, like this Border Patrol, you can make a natural fence and you can walk on the other side. They'll never see you.
Right. So this is something you might want to try. Definitely a product we're going to be experimenting with this year and putting in the field. So if you can put something down like this to be able to build a screen to get in and out, make sure that the path you're going in on is mowed. It's free of debris to be able to get in quiet. Check your wind. That's another key thing of how to get in or out. And if that's not the case of where you can access this stand correctly, talk to your neighbors. Are you able to say, hey, look, I don't want to hunt on your property. I just want to sneak around and come in this way to maximize my hunting.
Yep, absolutely.
Maybe they'll let you do that. I don't know.
Definitely start with the aerial photo, get a game plan, start thinking of those things. Take a rake with you, rake out the especially towards the fall when you're getting ready, rake a path. Maybe you crossing a field, get the mower out, like you said. Definitely watch your wind. That could play a big part of it, is the wind. And
I really think entry and exit strategies are key to getting to the proper stand. And maybe you need to move stand location. Maybe to maximize your potential on the property, it may not be like the ideal spot where you want to be, but maybe you'll have better success moving it to a different spot because the entry and exit points are better.
Yep. And you know what? And what'll help you do this is exactly what you said, Jacob. Throw out a couple trail cameras.
Yep.
Get them out there. Start seeing. Best thing to do is keep a log of this. Where you set the camera, which way it's facing, and then look at your pictures, and maybe you'll notice the deer are going one way at a certain time, or
DeerLab.com. It's a trail cam management system that we use, or I use. And it gives you a lot of information on those photos. It talks about wind conditions. It talks about if there's precipitation in the air, the temperatures, moon phase. There's all different kinds of things that this thing will glean just from your photo because of the geotag of where it's at and the metadata that's on the actual photo itself. If you go to DeerLab.com, check it out. If you got a 10-acre parcel, you probably buy the least expensive plan that they offer, which I think is like, I want to say it's like $11 or $14 a month. It's not very expensive. And, through hunting season, you can glean some information from that.
And you might notice that you might be right that the bigger bucks that you want to be seeing only travel at night.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to try to play a little hoodwinking game to get them to come in a little earlier.
Yeah.
Or later, depending on when you're seeing them.
Yeah, yeah. Or, maybe planting a kill plot, a small little food plot to suck them into, get the does there during that rut time, to get them cruiser bucks to start coming in.
Absolutely. And you know what? In that area, hunting pressure, the bigger bucks might be in that cattail swamp all day.
Yep.
They can lay in there and not have to worry about nothing. They play the wind,
especially if they can hear or see you coming,
Yeah.
The other thing I would look at, too, if you've got a buddy that's got a drone with a camera on it, send the drone up, fly over that cattail swamp, take some video or take a picture, and look to see if there's bedding areas inside that cattail swamp and see if they're using that, see if there's trails in there. That's going to give you a good indication, too, of how that swamp's being used.
And right now is a good time with spring. You'll be able to see their trails pretty good because of the muck that they're kicking up.
Yeah, green up is just now starting.
Right.
Especially in this
before
area.
we get to the dry period of July.
Yeah.
But, Jacob, with a little bit of homework and some planning, you might be able to change things around.
Yep. Think outside the box.
Yeah, definitely think outside the box as your game plan. Just don't, but definitely go with your first instinct there. Get some trail cameras out and start with there. See what you got going on the property. You can throw out some corn in front of a camera. You can bait over there. So put out a camera, throw some corn out or whatever you think they're going to eat, and start finding out what you got going on.
Absolutely. So, what other questions?
What else we got here? Don't buy cheap.
There was one. Didn't he post one about having deer bed next to your stand?
Oh yeah. You got the question. I can't see that.
Yeah, he asked about having deer bed next to your stand.
He asked, "Have we ever gone into a stand and not known that a deer is bedded there till either later or?"
I've never had one that I didn't know was there, but I have seen them bed down next to my stand. This particularly happened to me about 3 years ago. What I now call the honey hole.
Yes.
First year I hunted that, and I had a stand up. It's basically in a white pine thicket. A lot of small growth white pine, young growth white pines. And I was hunting out of an oak tree, and I just happened to look down and saw some movement, and it was a doe and a fawn had come in. They just come in and sit down, and they laid down for probably an hour and a half. And they were within probably 5 yards of my stand. So that was kind of cool, being able to see them that close.
Last year, I was in my stand. Some deer came in. They kind of were looking at an area, and they were kind of looking real odd, and I'm like, I don't see nothing over there. And lo and behold, a doe stood up. Mm-hmm. She was there bedded, me getting to the stand, getting up in my stand, and waiting for daylight. She's bedded there the whole time. She actually watched me.
Something to go along with what he asked before, the two questions together. He talked about a buck being bedded down. You might actually, if it's that thick and you're not noticing them until you get down, if it's really that tight in there, you actually might have your stand in a bedding area or on the edge of a bedding area. You might think about backing off just a little bit and getting that stand out away from it. So you're not, and maybe that's why these deer are being pushed to the back of the property and then coming back.
You might be in the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Something to think about.
Definitely if you can find the bedding area and the travel corridor that they might have.
Yeah. My thought on this is I don't like to set a stand up on a bedding area at all. I like to be in an ambush point either near a food plot or in a staging area before a food plot where those cruiser bucks will actually stand back 20, 30 yards and they'll look out and to see if there's, they'll actually look in the field to see if there's does there before they come out.
Right. And
on those trails.
I've had deer bed underneath my tree stand when I'm in it. Had that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then dropping, I know my cousin did this and I've done this, is you drop peanut shells on their backs and drives them crazy.
Eating peanuts in the stand, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Got a little time on your hands while you're sitting up there.
Right.
So, but yes, we've had them do that, and I've had them last year. So there you go, Jacob.
So any other questions there?
No, I think we've covered them all.
Let me reach over here and check real quick on mine and see what we got. Hey, Cody Dawson just joined. Hey, Cody, what's going on? Hopefully he's getting that boat ready down there in Ohio, getting ready to hit the fishing tournament.
There you go.
So, but no, guys, we appreciate the questions you had tonight for us. It's kind of we've been in a lull here this week. Next week I'm going to get out. I'm going to get my bow over and get it set up and get ready to start shooting here. Doing food plot work this coming weekend. If the rain holds off, I'm hoping. That's what we're really hoping for right now is the rain holds off. Got to get a field turned, and drag the harrow across it after that. After we disc it up and then run the cultipacker on it and get ready for planting. So
I heard mid-80s this week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty warm, mid-80s this week for 2 or 3 days. So it's going to get that ground temperature up pretty quick, hopefully, so these guys can get out and start planting. I'm hoping we can start planting here pretty quick. And hoping maybe I also might be able to get up and get another hunt or two in on the turkeys. So
there you go.
it's that time of year trying to wrap that up here. I've got a couple other opportunities to get out and do it, so
go get them.
But other than that, it's been a good week. We had a good day yesterday teaching a couple ladies archery, seeing some smiles on some faces, and having one lady become, an archer. They never thought she could do it, and she come up and we got her to shoot bows, and she loved it.
She was happy.
So, and beyond that, it's just we're in May. It's almost June.
Yeah, half the year.
Half the year's almost.
You got a
gone.
graduation coming up.
Yeah, my youngest boy's graduating, getting ready to go off to college. So, yeah, I'm going to be busy here the next month and a half or two. So,
absolutely.
Show season's rolling in. We've got some outdoor stuff coming up. I say shows, more like event season really coming up.
A month of August will start our event season, so we'll have June and July to
get out and do some shooting.
Get either some shooting, some fishing,
3D tournaments,
or
some stuff like that coming up. So,
just before we went on the air, Dan Yasta called. Talked to him. He's coming up from Ohio this week.
Going to be in Michigan.
He's going to be in Michigan. He's checking out, making some visits to some PSE stores in the state. It's good to talk to him. Yeah, at least we can get out and do some shooting. I've been shooting I got the bow set up since Thursday. So Wednesday I put everything on. Thursday.
Yeah, I got to take my arrows over, get those sized up, get those cut, get ready to get rocking. So, bow season's going to be here before we know it, and I definitely want to be ready this year. So, anything else there before we wrap up?
Jacob wants to know, do you guys take out as many squirrels in your spot as you can before the season rolls around?
I'd like to, but no, I don't. Actually, that's the one thing about our camp where we're at. There's really no small game hunters per se. A couple guys like to shoot birds, but they don't do it a lot.
Oh, okay.
Very seldom. They used to in the day, but not anymore. I really don't mess with squirrels too much.
For me, no.
We've got them.
I definitely got them.
We got a bunch of them.
But I can tell you this: if we put a small tag in our pocket and we get a gun and we go out there, they won't be there.
Right.
You got to have like a bow, and you're saying you're deer hunting.
Right. That's the only way they come around. So
guaranteed how that works.
No kidding.
That's like you go out grouse hunting, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. But when I'm walking with a bow, I've kicked up a dozen in a covey, and it's like,
right.
Okay, that worked out well.
You always see the game that you're not after when you're hunting for something specific.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works, right?
Yep, so. Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, on here on the live stream and the podcast both. So we want to give a quick shout out to some shows over on the Outdoor Podcast channel. I listened to a podcast over some new guys called Rut and River Pursuits podcast out of Pennsylvania. I listened to a show I was coming back from up north last week, and I downloaded one, and it was on turkey hunting. And I want to tell you what, that was one of the funniest bunch of guys I've listened to in a long time. So we've got, I think, three new shows over there here in the last month. We've got 14 shows total. Make sure you go over, download some of them from there, check them out. And if you guys are into podcasts, obviously if you're listening to us, you are, go over to outdoorpodcastchannel.com and subscribe over there, because we've got at least one show a day, and in most cases 2 shows a day that are being put out. So you guys can find anything from deer hunting, turkey hunting, fishing, agriculture, food plotting, all that kind of stuff. So
a smorgasbord of outdoors.
Absolutely. So get over there and check them out. But that'll do it for us here this week, folks. We'll be back again next week.
Yep.
Before we get off on our summer trips. So we're going to tune out. And as we always say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.